I saved hundreds on my car insurance when I switched to Geico, and this is how it made me feel. It was like that feeling when you go to taco night at your favorite restaurant, and they're the best tasting tacos in the entire world. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, they bring you out another taco because they made an extra one.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome to a special edition of Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus, brought to you by Geico. And this is our Wyoming Black 14 edition for Black History Month. Want to enjoy it? We'll have these for the next couple of weeks. We'll have about 6 or 7 shows. And later on in this show, we'll show you how you can get one of these Black 14 t-shirts. But for now, enjoy.
No, great presentation, Tim. Could you email me the part about Geico, making it easy to switch and save hundreds?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You don't know my name, do you?
Of course I know your name. I just get you mixed up with the other guy. What's his name? What's your name?
Switch to Geico. You could save 15% or more on car insurance.
Could you just tell me? I want this to be over.
I was drafted in the NFL by the Chicago Bears. That's where I met this young lady here 47 years ago. And she's still hanging around me. Yeah, y'all better give her applause because I'm gonna catch it when we get back to the room. And I played with the Bears for 3 years, and then I went to New England, I played 7 years, and then I went to Washington, played 3 years. I was able to go to 2 Super Bowls. And after that, my wife and I settled in Virginia, and we opened a physical therapy. And we had that for 14 years. And now, right now, this young man that's taking my picture 35 years ago, he came to me and a young man and he said, "Why don't y'all start a television show?" This year is our 35th year. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. Mike Baker right there. But you know, it's not, I'm just giving you, as Guillermo said, that's my bridge thing. There's a lot of things we could say. But I'm just here, and I want to thank my fellow brothers, because you didn't have to come back. I want to thank us for being tight. We've had our arguments. Me and Guillermo got into it a couple of weeks ago. When we leave here tonight, I'm jumping on him again. Ryan Hill, all these guys. And you know what? The thing about it is no fake, it's love. But we also feel your love. And we want you to tell everyone in this town, because we walk down the street and people say, hey, we're glad to have you back. That makes us feel good. And Guillermo, you said something important. I thank Eden for what he did, because he made us grow up. He treated us very bad. He punished us for something we never got an opportunity to do. I don't know if you know the story, but even now to this day, it's individuals that don't know the true story. So during this course of the week, if you want to come up to me anytime, I will tell you the story. Any of us will. But I want to thank all of you, all my brothers, and my wife.
We should see some historical sites, some new facilities, some growth in the city. We're passing the new stadium that they just built, the War Memorial Stadium, that cost a little over $40 million. And then we'll see a lot of Hill Hall, one of the dorms that we stayed in. They made sure the athletes were here because it was closer to the field house. And then also the practice area. Very different. The dormitory is the same, but the practice area is totally different. State of the art. They have laboratories inside that for student athletes with computer laptops on every station. And they also have tutors that come in after hours to work with the student athletes. So it's very different. The training facility has an indoor hill. It has a water area. It has a hydro, cold area. So the whole area is, everything is much different and improved.
Here y'all on the campus of the University of Wyoming. You in a place, when I was here, I never came over here. They call it, I think, library. This is my first time seeing it, but you know what? It's a wonderful thing being back here. The Black 14, we're on the tour right now, so we must go. Mike Baker's here shooting everything. They probably want to give him a job now. He's doing very good. We'll be back in a moment.
We were so excited to be in Merritt and coming out here. We couldn't wait to get here, and we finally got her a job, and she was happy about that, and I was on a team, and things were going great until that one day where Lloyd Eaton changed our lives, but changed it in a good way right about now, I'm thinking. So it's good to be back.
We are at the Student Union now. As I told you earlier in this broadcast that I never went to the library, but this is a place I was every day, the social event. But if you look at these nice banners that they put up here for us, that's really outstanding. But the Student Union is where we used to meet, the Student Union is where we used to greet, and the Student Union is where we used to eat. It's in one and only, and this is one of the buildings that still looks similar to when I was here. Make me feel like I'm home.
I wanted to give you this to you. This is all the illustrations of the plants in the Williams Conservatory here on campus.
Oh, this is your work.
Yeah, it's all original.
You're very talented.
Thank you.
You know, Mike, as you look at this is the famous place where a picture was taken. Hi, Saul, can you hold that picture so Mike can maybe zoom in on it? A lot of us weren't here when they took this picture, but what you have to understand, this is history that we're standing on now. And we're making history right now by coming back. Mike, when you look at this, you're looking at history. Guys, these are the famous steps, and many of these are the famous guys. And we thank you for watching us, because we'll be back. Don Meadows, nose guard, Denver, Colorado. Earl Lee, offensive guard, starting offensive guard. Ivy Moore, Hot Springs, Arkansas, defensive back supreme. John Griffin, California wide receiver. He looks like a California, don't he? Jimmy Isaac, running back, Wyoming native. Ted Williams, my roommate, running back, tough as they come. Mel Hamilton, the other starting offensive guard. And you know what? Mel was a mayor of a city at one time. He'll have to tell you about that. Jay Berry, defensive back, 6'2", 210. 2 interceptions for touchdowns in 4 games, and the record still stands. Lionel Grimes, professor, great defensive back, but you can see by the glasses the guy is smart. Tony McGee, rode the tail coach of all these players. Joe Williams, running back, played for Dallas, was able to get a Super Bowl ring. Guillermo Highsaw, Bakersfield, California. It isn't nothing I have seen that this guy can't do. Let him say it. Wide receiver. Tony Gibson, fullback supreme. One of the hardest workers you ever see. And last but not least, we call him Alabama Buck, but his name is Ron Hill, number 81. Now, Mike Baker, I know your boss, and this is going to cost you extra. For you fans, this is free. We'll see you later in the minute.
What did you do, like, when you were being blackballed by all the colleges, like, across the country, like?
A young man on this picture, number 21, Jay Berry. We became real good friends. He was going down to a school that no longer exists called Bishop College in Dallas, Texas. The guy interviewed, he sent some articles down. The coach interviewed me over the phone. He bumped me down there for spring ball. I had high blood pressure, couldn't play, but he gave me a full ride. And not only did he give me a full ride, he gave my girlfriend a cheerleader scholarship, and they didn't even have a cheerleading team. So I played for them 1 year. I played 9 games. I had 109 tackles, so I had a really good year. And as I said, I made Black College All-American. I made the Chicago Tribune best 48 players in the country. And I did that, and once I got out, but you have to understand, when I came to the University of Wyoming, I had turned down Nebraska, I had turned down Michigan State, none of them came back. But the thing that I came here for was I knew some of the players here, and I never thought I'd play pro ball. I came to get an education. So that was my focus. And then once I did get an opportunity to play pro ball, I wanted to make sure after pro ball that I was doing something. So my wife and I started a physical therapy company, and we kept that for 14 years, excuse me. And then Mike and I started a television show. We did that for 35 years. And now I'm working for the NFL as a uniform inspector, and I've been doing that for 26 years. So my focus was always to be the best you can be at what you do, but be consistent in everything you do.
The case went through the local court, went to the district court. It was on the docket to go to the Supreme Court. We never got heard at the Supreme Court. Of course, we were losing at the lower levels here in the state of Wyoming, which we expected. But the district court judge made a ruling. And in that ruling, here's what he said. And by the way, Coach Eaton didn't have the authority to dismiss us unilaterally. He didn't have that power. Wyoming is a state-supported school. So state, if you're on scholarship, that's same as being an employee of the state. So the only person that can dismiss you is the governor. Governor Hathaway happened to be coming for the game that next day. Didn't even know about it. And then he was hit with, hey, Eaton did this and that. So there was a big meeting, and we had it with the trustees. We had it with the president of the university. They canvassed all of us, so all of us could tell their experience and their story and their feelings about what was going to happen. Why were we over there to see the coach in the first place? Why? You said it. But we wanted to get his opinion about us wearing this armband. This is an actual armband with a 14 on it. And we were going to wear that in the game if he said okay. But had he not, we had already decided amongst ourselves that we were not going to do that. This rule that he said we violated, that we defied him. And McGee can tell you about the quote. But the judge's ruling came out and said the Board of Trustees, the president of the university, the coach, and the governor, their decision to dismiss the Black 14 was not predicated on the existence or non-existence of a rule. What does that mean? Once again, let me say it again. That decision to dismiss us was not predicated on the existence or non-existence of a rule. So why were we dismissed?
So when you talk about this protest, we were put off the team for a protest that never occurred. We went over there saying that we would play the next day, but he never gave us the opportunity. And let's fast forward. We did a television show the other night, and we found out with this Black 14 thing, we've been working on it for 2.5 years. But we learned more about each of our players that we didn't know than we knew at that time. And this affected families. It affected each individual. All through our life, the Black 14 came about. Everything, now he became one of the top in the Toyota and what was the Lexus. Tell them what your credentials on that, Guillermo.
Just my credentials?
Give us a short version. Give us a short version.
I always have to do the abridged version of my career. Anyway, I was the highest ranking executive for Toyota and Lexus worldwide. I was one of the first 10 recruited to name, launch, and roll Lexus out worldwide for Toyota. Before that, I worked for General Motors for 16.5 years. I was one of the highest ranking African-American executives with General Motors, started their remarketing program, which is now called used cars. I started the pre-owned program for Lexus, and now all the automotive dealers have it. I have a lot of industry first in the automotive industry. And then outside of that, I've also sat on a lot of nonprofits, including the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. When Obama was running for president, he sat on our foundation board. I've sat on the nonprofits in golf and what have. So anyway, a lot of, you can go to LinkedIn and then pull up Guillermo Heisel and drill down and you can see it.
Come on, man. I just told you to tell him who you are. But I wanted him to tell you that, and we joke about it a lot because he has done quite a bit. Matter of fact, he's helped me in my endeavors, and I'll tell you about that a little later. But we found out that night, that day that he put us off the team, he made 14 individuals better people, better men. We weren't going to fail again. And to a key, when we talk about what each one accomplished, is amazing. And we realized because he made us failures, but he made us strong. One was in the airline business, another one was in another business, but everything they did, but it did affect the family. I had an opportunity to play professional football. He even tried to mess that up because I did get picked up by a school, Bishop College in Dallas, Texas. Played there 1 year, 9 games, I had 109 tackles. Made Black College All-American, one of the best 48 college players in the country. Los Angeles Rams were going to draft me first round. Do you guys know what rounds are? Football draft? They called here. Lloyd Eaton and the guys told him I was the main troublemaker. So I fell to the 3rd round. Then to tell you how success comes about, the young man over here, where's Mike Baker?
He walked out the back for a minute.
35 years ago, he started a television show, my television show. 15 years in, Toyota was one of my large sponsors. That story is just mine. Each guy, and we found this out last night, he made us work harder to be a success. So you say, well, why are you back? We had said we'd never come back. But we're back because we get opportunity to speak to individuals such as yourself. you had no idea about this. We still want the truth to be out there. But this university, your university, has the guts to tell us that they are sorry for a wrong that Lloyd Eaton did. So we got the guts to come back and say, we accept that, and we're sorry for whatever we did. That's all right. We're here talking to you. I won't keep talking about our story. We want to hear what you want us to say. That's why we're here.
And before he finishes, he can show some humility. You can go to ESPN and look at a segment called The Undisputed. And The Undisputed features Tony McGee. Not only did he play for the Chicago Bears, he played for the New England Patriots and the Washington Redskins. And if you look at his hands, he's wearing his 2 Super Bowl rings. So if you've never seen a Super Bowl ring in person, then come and shake his hand, but I'll be eyeballing his rings. He's got one on each hand, so it'd be conspicuous to look at either hand. But anyway.
The thing about taking it, the hand goes with it.
Right. But anyway, so being accomplished is more than, being accomplished in your respective fields and your respective endeavors. And I think that, we went from the transition that we made, we transcended from boys to men in the moments that Eaton was talking to us and degrading us and defaming us. He made us more powerful than we ever expected to be. But I wanted to acknowledge McGee because in sports, there were only 2 guys out of the 14 that actually went to Super Bowls that played in pro ball. Joe Williams was the other one. He went with Dallas Cowboys, and then he ended up with the New Orleans Saints. But they didn't go to a Super Bowl while he was there. But Joe's not here with us, but he was the captain that he mentioned that went over to speak to Eaton. So we weren't stopped. He was the catalyst. Eaton was the catalyst for what we became. And then the other thing that's really disappointing is that he's dead. Because for me to really have closure, I would have wanted to talk to him to find out, Lloyd, what compelled you to come out and terminate us? What compelled you to defame us and degrade us when we had never experienced that with you before? Who was behind the decision for you to terminate it? We don't want to hear about this fictitious rule and all this stuff. We want to know the truth. Who was it? And that's something that I'll never have closure on. It may come out later from a political standpoint or whatever, but that's the elephant in the room. And then again, I go back to the judge's ruling, and that if it wasn't predicated on that, what was it predicated on? And so to me, I just wanted to say before you ask the questions again, I am honored, I am privileged to be here. I had a choice to go to Stanford or USC, one of my 2 top choices, and then I ended up here.
Geico makes it easy to get help when I need it. With licensed agents available 24/7, it's not just easy, it's having Jerome Bettis on your flag football team easy. Go get him, Bus!
Ooh. Come on, Bus. Come on. Hey, wait. I'm gonna get the flag. I got your flag, man. I got your flag.
It's Geico Easy, with licensed agents available 24/7.
49 nothing. Woo!
It should be noted, though, that the protest here in Laramie wasn't the first protest against BYU. That there were some black track people at UTEP the previous year who refused to participate in a meet with BYU, and they were kicked off the team also. And then when BYU went to play San Jose State the year before, there was so much tension that they actually played it in a fairly empty stadium. And that was a protest, a very serious one. So, I mean, it was well known that there was problems with playing BYU. But it didn't seem like anyone in Wyoming, the coach, or anyone in the higher areas were at all familiar with the struggle of African Americans in America or with, these problems with BYU. So,
upon our visit, we wore black armbands to speak to Coach Eaton. And the moment we arrived to speak to him, he was enraged, and he met us in the room off of I think they call it the Cow Palace, where he immediately began to berate us, speak to us as like we were children, and told us if we wanted to do this kind of thing, we needed to go back to the Grambling College or the Morgan States of the country. He did not listen to anything we had to say.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I was very upset. I could not believe that he didn't want to hear what we had to say. He immediately made a decision on dismissing us from the football team for doing nothing, basically. It was very upsetting.
The year before I got here, they played BYU, and after the game, I heard that they had turned the water on the team. And somebody had told me that they were trying to cleanse the field. So then they came and told me that. So that's what I figured that we were going over there. So we all went over there. But the funny part is it was a nice sunny day. So I don't know where the jackets came in. And then they're saying that all 14 black players had armbands. I never had an armband, so I don't know how that story got started. Mm-hmm. But everybody's going to play. They want to see what they can protest. No, they didn't say they were going to wear the armbands. And before we had anything, we all marched into the field house. And he goes, I tell you, gentlemen, red in there, you got all to the team. You'll never play a football game here alive. And you need to go back where you came from. And I don't know how to say this, but you guys could go back on Negro release. That's what we were told. And that was it. And he just walked off. He picked on like Tony McGee and a couple other people, told that they found Tony walking the street picking up cigarette butts. That was sad.
Lord Eaton had no idea about where I came from. And evidently he didn't have any idea about where the rest of us came from, the rest of the black players came from. And he ran into a thunderstorm, and he didn't know how to handle it. And I was wishing that he could have taken it another way, but it was a particular day and time how it happened, how this thing went down. And I'm glad to be a part of it, because for a long time, the 14 was kind of like out there doing their own thing. And I was doing my own thing because I'm really not, I was wondering why I stayed away from the group, from the 14, the years that I did. And I found out that through what's happened in my life, I knew what I was. I knew I developed myself as a misanthrope. And if you know what a misanthrope is, then you understand a lot about me. It is, I don't trust the basic instincts of human beings. So I kind of stayed away from it, and I think that was healthy for me. But just being a 14, come to find out, people knew about you and you didn't know about them. And all I wanted to do was have a peace of mind and be a good teacher, be a good instructor. But it was too many demons out there who wanted to get me because, oh, he's a 14. And somewhere people were getting information about who I was or what I was doing or what,
We had that kind of team. We could easily overcome adversity and come out victorious. I mean, we just had that kind of swagger. It wasn't, you know, being overly arrogant. It's just we were confident. We were an extremely confident football team back then. And it was fun because you knew the competition. Even in practice, you're playing with some good, really good athletes. So they're testing your game and vice versa. So when it came to playing on a Saturday, then my opponent is playing against someone, I've been playing against someone who's pretty darn good, and you better be ready, because it's coming. And that's how we played. And that was the saddest part of it. That team was so good, and for a 5-minute conversation, killed the program. Killed the team that year and killed the program for well over 10 plus years. Well, it started in 1968 when Tony and Highsaw played BYU, and what they were saying back then, they were cheap-shotting our players. And I'm sure you know what a cheap shot, they were cutting them from behind, and you can tear up your knee and you're done. A lot of racial epithets, that N-word was being thrown around. And then it culminated in, at the end of the game, and this is what was told to the bunch of us, from Tony and Guillermo Highsaw, is at the end of the game, the sprinklers came on. So that was a known issue. And then, of course, roll into 1969, and there was a movement across the country with a lot of the black student alliances and black student unions that they were going to do something in sympathy against the Mormon church, because African American culture was not allowed to elevate themselves in the church. That's what I recognized. We didn't know about the other issue related to BYU down in Provo the year before. So there was a faction that had interest in and anger in what happened in 1968, and there was another grouping that had, you know, concern about what was going on in 1969. So the combined issues brought us together and said we need to do something in sympathy, and we chose to, as a group, to wear black armbands in sympathy of the Black Student Union here on the campus.
And I came to the University of Wyoming. Fritz Sherman was my coach, and he took a guy from Battle Creek that in his sophomore year, the coaches told him that he should get out of football. In his junior year, they told him he'd be a scrub, but by his senior year, he had gotten better. And he took me and taught me what football was really about. And I really learned so much football from Fritz. And when this went down, he was just in the stand, he was crying. So lo and behold, let's fast forward. Fritz is in the NFL, I'm with Chicago Bears. We're playing the Detroit Lions. First time we've seen each other since then, and we kind of spoke. But I could tell his disdain for me, and I had it for him. The next year, so I get traded to the New England Patriots. The year after that, Fritz Sherman was the defensive line coach. We kind of just spoke a little bit, and then one day we was walking to our cars, and we stood out at the parking lot at Sullivan Stadium. We talked for 2 hours. He said all the things he thought they did wrong, and I said that. And I asked him about the high-powered rifle. He said, yeah, we heard about that too. And you know, that just tells you that God put you in the right places, because that eventually could have happened. But me and Fritz became such friends, and I had my name then was Mac the Sack. He and Bill Parcells and another coach put together a defense for New England, and they named it the Tony defense. And while I was there for 8 years. I had 75 sacks in 8 years. And Fritz was a big part of that. Then after he left and I left, and we went to Washington, we played them in playoff games and stuff. Every time Fritz would see me, he said, in Battle Creek, picking up cigarette butts off the street. And that's what Eden had said. And we laughed about that. And even to the end, you know, I tried to call him when he had gotten real sick, but I couldn't talk to him. But Fritz and I became very, very good friends, lifelong friends.
Here at the university or after I left? Here at the university, it was frightening, to be frank. I mean, people were getting their lives threatened. People were riding around in vehicles in support of Eaton, where we had black armbands that we wanted to wear. You saw supporters of Coach Eaton, or Eaton, with armbands on their own in support of Eaton. So it was kind of a scary, frightening situation. You know, they had open carry rifles back then, because I had never seen rifles in the backs of pickup trucks until after that. And you saw a lot of pickup trucks going around, and they had the rifle racks in the back, and I was scared. And when I found out that AE and some of the other guys had been getting their lives threatened, it even further incensed me about leaving. So it wasn't too long after that I left and went back to Ohio. And going back to Ohio, I set out for a while, but the hardest thing was calling my dad and telling him that I was no longer on scholarship. Because like I say, I came to the University of Wyoming, or any university, to get a free education. And I had God-given ability to play football, and that was my way to go to school free. So I felt very dejected and lost. And I looked at the economics that it was going to cost for me to go to school, and the hardship and the pressure that was going to put on my parents to help me go there.
So I have been totally blessed to be part of this group. I've been totally blessed that everything happened has brought us to this point. I'm just thankful that I'm among the 14 and that I've had this opportunity. I think it's a tremendous gift, and I'm prayerful and hopeful that when I reflect on this, that I will have made some small contribution to making a difference in the lives of others, even if it's only my other fellow players.
It's the most amazing feelings that I have ever had in Wyoming, and I've lived here 50 years. And had some great successes, had some terrible losses, but this is one of the greatest experiences in my life. And to be honest with you, knowing the people of Wyoming, it surprised the hell out of me, the way they treated us. So I am thankful that finally the university said, "Governor, you were wrong. Coach, you were wrong." And that means a lot to me and my kids.
Going back to that day when you were with Tony and all the other players, when you walked out of that field house, we were there yesterday, we saw the field house. When you walked out of that field house, what did you feel?
Well, I was just shocked. What just went down? We couldn't discuss a very important issue like this. Why didn't he give us an opportunity to talk? We would have asked for his advice, because a coach and a player's relationship is very close to father and son. And if father said, "Well, why don't you try doing this rather than to do this," we may have listened to him. But one thing I'm sure of, if we would have found a way to protest, but he had to be a part of that.
She wanted to move someplace warm.
But he wanted snow for the holidays. So we built a snow globe.
Get that later.
But the one thing we could both agree on was getting Geico to help with our homeowner's insurance.
What?
Switching and saving was really easy.
I love you!
Sweetie, hands off the glass.
Ugh.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I love
This is a great day. Wouldn't have happened without these two. I can promise you that. Lots of stuff out there, but I was there at that game because I've been watching this cat with the glasses. That was when I weighed 260 and had hair and thought beer was food and played first-string defense. And I said to Ann, who was back there, and Brother Pete, look at this guy, McGee. He picks people to bits. In the early part of that season, I think he did 11 sacks. Then he went off to Bishop. Never felt a bit of bitterness toward the University of Wyoming, which is really quite remarkable. Could have. Then played 8 years with the Patriots, 3 years with the Bears, 3 years with the Redskins, all pro, 2 Super Bowl rings. So the minute I hit Washington, I called him. I said, hey, Tony, one of your admirers here. Way up in the balcony. We didn't have season tickets then. And I was here and watched the Board of Trustees and the officers of Wyoming hide in the basement of Old Man. And these men had an attorney who wanted to talk, and they cut him off. It's called, in my profession, due process. I was offended totally by it. Let me tell you the stuff that was floating around in this state. So Tony and I'd get together, have lunch, talk about our wives. Oh, I don't mean that. I mean the difficulty of living with someone 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. No. So anyway, we started to put this stuff together. And there was lots of heavy stuff out there. You know, demands, rejections. And Tony was the guy that kept it together. And whatever you're going to see today and part of this, in this place that is so proud to present this day for you on the 50th anniversary, because what happened destroyed the university programs for 20 years. And Tony even came back a couple times, you know, just say if the coaches want me to say something to the kids, I'll do it. You did that once or twice, didn't you?
Got rid of me before you come back.
I know, but I didn't tell him that. Anyway, this has become a very dear and special friend. And then Tom had to pick up the ball, put it all together. Tony'd say, what's happening? I'd say, I'll call Tom. Tom would call back. And I think we have something appropriate to honorably honor you. But it's a great joy. Makes me feel damn proud.
At this time, I would like to ask John Griffin to come up and speak on behalf of the group.
I'm very seldom lost for words, as my wife would tell you. But this has been truly a week of celebration and love and caring. And this plaque on the wall is the culmination of several years of phone calls, several years of copious amounts of notes that were taken in the conversations we've had with the university. And we thought about 5 years ago that things were beginning to change and acceptance was on the high horizon. And it's here now. And each one of these guys, you know, we go back 50 years, and the 9 of us or 8 of us who are here this week, this is the first time in 50 years we've been back on this campus together. And 50 years later, we're getting a plaque with our names on it, and a little bit of history of what went on. And the experiences of what we've experienced this week has been overwhelming to all of us.
In May of last year, it became clear this 50th commemorative event was going to become a reality. President Nichols and I wrote a letter to the members of the Black 14, and I would like to read it to you. Before I do this, I want to let you know I talked with President Theobald about signing the letter, and as much as he wanted to sign the letter because he's passionate about this project and support it, he thought it was important that the President and AD who built the relationship with the members should sign the letter. He fully embraces and supports the events this weekend. To the members, I better get my glasses. Besides losing my hair, my vision stinks. As president and athletic director at the University of Wyoming, we have had the pleasure of getting to know many of the members of the Black 14 while discussing the 50th anniversary. It has been an honor and a privilege to reconnect with you and hear your story. That story is heart-wrenching, and we feel it is extremely important for this institution to reflect on that difficult time here at UW and across the country. As an institution, we believe we have learned and grown from what you had to endure. The college experience should be a rich one and one of the best times of a young person's life. You were deprived of that experience for reasons not of your doing. Not to be heard, to be shunned, and to have your collegiate careers derailed as both students and athletes is a tragedy. Unfortunately, it continued beyond your time here. We embrace the university's mission of nurturing an environment that values and manifests diversity, internationalization, free expression, academic freedom, personal integrity, and mutual respect. We believe that mission rose in part from your courage and sacrifice. We applaud you, but more importantly, we respect you for rising above that difficult time to build productive lives. You remain faithful to your conviction as you move forward, all the while continuing to tell the compelling story of the Black 14. As you told your story, it would have been easy and maybe even expected to attack the university that turned its back on you. But you demonstrated immense character and integrity in avoiding that path. Your actions then and throughout these 50 years have definitely made a difference, not only on this campus, but throughout our country. Please accept this sincere apology from the University of Wyoming for the unfair way you were treated and for the hardships that treatment created for you. We want to welcome you home as valued members of this institution, and we hope you accept our old Wyoming saying, once a cowboy, always a cowboy. With warm regards, Lori Nichols, President, Tom Berman, Athletics Director.
Today, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. What these men did all those years ago, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. So today you have a responsibility to go out and explode and play the game with love, not hate. To embrace this day and to accept these men. Now, many years ago, these guys had their jerseys taken away. And rightfully so, we're going to give them their jerseys today. So Kevin, go ahead and call them out.
Tony Gibson.
Number 22 from San Bernardino, California, John Griffin. Number 23 from Alliance, Ohio, Lionel Grimes. Number 65 from Boys Town, Nebraska, Wyoming's own Bill Hamilton. Number 81 from Denver, Colorado, Ron Hill. Number 20 from Bakersfield, California, Guillermo Hudson. And number 66 from Chattanooga, Tennessee, Earl Lee, represented by the son Brian, and the state of football. Number 88 from Battle Creek, Michigan, Tony. Number 33 from Pine Bluffs, Arkansas, I.D. Moore. Unfortunately, I have a husband and I takes it at the last minute. Number 24 from Point White, California. Please give them a... But I'll tell you one thing. I went and got my leather jacket, and now these wonderful guys have the same jacket. And the nicest thing about all this is that this is a time of renewal and refreshment, and remembering always that hate corrodes the King Peter's charity. With that, think of it, boys. How many times we're almost filled except one?
I'm here with my fellow brothers, you know, Ron Hill, Griffin, Tony, and Guillermo. We all feel the same way. You know, we've been bitter or we've been mad, but right now, the Black 14, the way they were 50 years ago, is gone. The new ones are here now. From now on, we talk positive stuff about the Black 14, and these guys here will be a positive part of it.
It took several months. We sat down as a committee to talk about exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted the entire community to be engaged. We wanted the members of the Black 14 to learn about who we are now. And then we also wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to strategize how we could best move forward to supporting our current student athletes and students. So it was a lot of planning, faculty, community organizations, various departments around the university. Everyone chipped in, and we had the finale on the field. Very excited.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Minority Scholarship Essay Contest is underway. This year's topic: if you were a member of the Black 14 in 1969, what would you have done? All minority high school seniors are eligible to enter. Submit essays to redmagplus.com and click Youth Sideline. Special prizes will be awarded to the winners. The deadline's May 1st, so get busy. You can learn more about the Black 14 by going to black14.net or simply Googling the Black 14.
We had two parts to this show. On February the 20th, part 1 will air at 9 p.m. and part 2 at 10 p.m. February the 26th, part 1 will air at 9 p.m. February the 27th, part 2 will air at 3 p.m. February the 29th, part 1 will air at 4 p.m. and part 2 at 5 p.m. Enjoy. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show, and if you're interested in the Black 14 t-shirt, just go to black14.net. We have hoodies, we have long sleeve, short sleeve, women, men, children. We'll get them to you as soon as we can, but you got to visit there to get them. See you next time.